Hello, welcome to our channel. I'm sorry it's been a little while since I made a video because I had a cold. Yes. On a sunny July afternoon, as I hoped for a soothing breeze to cool my face, I thought about how Larian Studios has put CRPGs on the front page. I quickly took out my only pen that I have had since 2018 and wrote down my thoughts. How Baldur's Gate 3 was the grand climax of the CRPG revival of the last decade. And this is a big if, but perhaps there would have been no Baldur's Gate 3, at least by Larian Studios, if the Divinity Original Sin games were not successful. Actually, I think there would not have been if they weren't successful, more than likely. Baldur's Gate 3 and the new Divinity series basically saved us and the genre itself from the garbage we get from AAA devs in the name of RPGs these days. Yes. There have been many good CRPGs from indie and AA developers in the last decade, but none has had the charisma of the titles put out by Larian Studios. From their story, setting, gameplay, well-voiced characters, to their customization, player agency, immersive environments, and soundtracks, Larian poured their heart and soul into crafting these titles. Each game served its purpose. Divinity games knew who they were and acted accordingly. Baldur's Gate 3 knew it was the main event and set the stage on fire. I find it fascinating how simple it is to define the entire RPG genre with the innovative development roadmap that these titles had. I'm not talking about the technical aspects of game development, no, but rather the vision of those who develop games. It is clear that they kept their vision simple. We make games that gamers love. Let your game be the star of the show instead of yourself. It has become increasingly easy to make good games with the advancement of technology in the 21st century, yet most games are disastrous now. The publishers and the developers seem to have forgotten one very important aspect of game development: the game itself, and who it is for. Most new games are not interesting, which is a bummer, really, come to think of it. They don't even know who they are or what they want to be known for. In their rise to being the best RPG developers, Larian stayed true to who they are. They remember what made people fall in love with RPGs in the first place, because of one simple thing: they are RPG fans themselves. They play the games we play, because they enjoy them and want to play them. Instead of getting distracted by temptations, they work hard to make games that will be remembered for their content instead of lack of it. Quick note: if you love single-player RPGs, consider subscribing to the channel as I talk about them regularly. To be honest, they are the only thing I talk about, really. There are also channel memberships available with the various perks that come with it. Check them out. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were critical and commercial successes. They became household names among PC gamers. They stood out from the crowd thanks to their unique gameplay mechanics and gripping story. They were extensive open-world experiences with a wide variety of quests, characters, and mythology. They were painstakingly designed with an eye towards detail, offering players deep, engaging worlds to explore. This degree of world-building was revolutionary, providing a model for the way that environment and story could be combined to improve player involvement. Then, we waited 19 years. People grew up, developed skills, started to earn money, consummated marriage, had kids, the kids got baptized. 19 years is a long, very long time. Naturally, when Baldur's Gate 3 was announced, everyone was excited. There were, of course, skeptics, and rightfully so. Sequels don't work most of the time, and we have all seen the sad state of the modern remakes of old classics. But since Larian was developing the game, there was more hope than skepticism. They had already proven their worth with Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. In a way, we have to thank Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 for paving the way for Larian to be able to make a game as grand as Baldur's Gate 3. I'm by no means saying these games were a stepping stone, although they kind of were, I guess. Before Baldur's Gate 3, Original Sin 2 was the best thing in the market, though. It was the most fulfilling modern CRPG experience. Original Sin 1 was a little short on the story side, main quest-wise. It had that whimsical Larian approach to fantasy RPGs. It was an enjoyable experience. Original Sin 2, however, took all the good aspects of the first game, improved on its weaknesses, improved on its mistakes, and took it to the next level. They also came out at a time when CRPGs were going through a bit of a renaissance. We saw the release of good titles, but none could go beyond that image of isometric CRPGs being a computer nerd's game. Like any revolution in our history, the rebirth movement needed its main characters to be regarded as a serious one. A cult of personality. A purpose people can get behind, sing songs about. Something that would make the people notice its presence. Divinity Original Sin games became this face. Divinity Original Sin, how many times can I say that? Received generally favorable reception. It was Larian's highest-rated game until Original Sin 2 released in 2017. Divinity Original Sin isn't just another RPG about orcs and magic, but really interesting worlds that they live in. Within a week of the game's release, the game had sold over 160,000 copies and became Larian Studios' fastest-selling game ever. By September 2014, the game had sold over 500,000 copies. The success of its Kickstarter and the positive ROI meant that people still cared about single-player RPGs, and they are willing to wait and invest their capital. Divinity Original Sin 2 also launched on Kickstarter. The success of the first game, the gamers realizing Larian's dedication to create great games, ensured that the goal was reached within the first 12 hours. Some of the stretch goals were reached before they were even announced. Larian announced that the company decided to head to Kickstarter again because they wanted the opinions from the community when developing the game, as well as allowing them to further expand the vision they originally had for this game. This is important, as we also saw from all the panel from hell showcases leading up to Baldur's Gate 3 release. Players' opinions matter to them. They always make sure they listen to the community, something we don't see with many AAA devs anymore. The game had a concurrent player count of 75,000 within a week of its full release, becoming one of the most played games on Steam at the time. It was also nominated for all the major Game of the Year awards, but more importantly, it brought back the days of when computer role-playing games were kings of household gaming. They are tremendously versatile while being challenging games. You can spend hours building your character. You can also play as one of the 6 pre-made characters with backstories available to players. You can run different character builds, create different combinations of skills and abilities, and, of course, make compatible characters. You can play them seriously, but they are also good at being casually fun, and that meant people from all backgrounds, regardless of their favorite genre, started playing and even streaming them with their friends. People did all sorts of things in these games, running funny playthroughs, making hilarious characters, cheesing the game, comedic videos. The open-ended class system that allows a high degree of flexibility also helped the tomfoolery. Something we don't normally see with CRPGs, as they are often considered serious games or even books disguised as games. It was the first time since the days of the original Baldur's Gate that CRPGs became a genre that the majority of gamers played. The overall success of these two games meant that CRPGs could become mainstream and commercially successful, while being a well-crafted player experience without the need for any greedy corporate exercises. It meant that regardless of what corporate people think, gameplay and story were still the most important aspects. They transcended the genre and became household names among gamers. People who only played games casually are tuned in. Sometimes you need to go beyond your family name to save the family name. In this process, they made Larian a household name too, a name people started to trust without second guess. Larian Studios approached Wizards of the Coast for the Baldur's Gate license around 2014. However, they were considered too small and new to the industry to be trusted at the time. After the pre-release materials related to Divinity Original Sin 2 impressed Wizards of the Coast, they changed their mind and contacted Larian to ask if they were still interested. When it was announced that they were making the new Baldur's Gate game, the reputation they built with the original Sin games helped tremendously. It ensured that Baldur's Gate 3 reached a broad audience from day one. Of course, it's Baldur's Gate, so everyone would be interested anyway. However, do you think if someone like Blizzard, the current Bethesda, or EA announced they were making it, it would have received the same reception from the get-go? No! Even though they are successful, original Sin titles took a long time to reach that level because of specific nature of different CRPGs. Baldur's Gate 3 was the first time in many years when gamers from all over the world waited for a CRPG title from the beginning. Baldur's Gate 3 launched in early access and spent a better part of its life cycle in that stage. The early access version contained only the very first act, amounting to approximately 25 hours. Additional features and content, including multiplayer functionality and more classes, were added throughout early access. In all my years, I have never seen an early access build give us the amount of content Baldur's Gate 3 did. Not even fully released games could generate the hype that Baldur's Gate 3 early access did. The early access was played all over the world. Almost everyone who knew anything about gaming played this build. And when the game fully released, it turned the industry upside down. Greedy AAA developers went against the game, and Larian, we all know who these people are. I won't make any names. Get this, Baldur's Gate 3 faced dev backlash for, essentially being too well-crafted of a game, thus raising the standards we gamers are expecting from new releases. In all my years of playing games, watching new titles release, that has to be the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard or seen from this industry. It's understandable, really. Developers have stopped caring about well-crafted single-player experiences. They want their live service cash cows to run smoothly. Moo! Moo! Even if they disguise a game as a single-player game, there is something that will keep the full experience behind a paywall or some stupid BS de novo always-online stuff that promotes pirating in the long run anyway. Studios just don't want to gamble big on things anymore. They have a template, and it's followed like a testament. So when a game like this came out, it obviously went against their agenda. These developers don't want Baldur's Gate to become a standard in games, since they can't or won't make a game like this ever. But they forgot one simple thing. Larian had the backing of the gamers. You know, the people who actually buy the games. In a way, Baldur's Gate 3 was a slap to these developers' faces. It was an act of rebellion. It was an open challenge to anyone who dared to oppose the king of single-player RPG developers. It was a slap to their face with a metal glove. It showed single-player RPGs are still very, very popular, and people still care about, well, crafted single-player experiences. Very, very much. Remember when EA claimed single-player games were dead? Stupid. Baldur's Gate 3 killed two birds with one stone. They proved these greedy corporate weirdos wrong, and they gave us hardcore fans a forever game. Baldur's Gate 3 received universal acclaim from critics and fans alike. Hardcore fans praised the quality of the writing, including the detailed depiction of the Dungeons & Dragons setting of Faerun. It had everything that makes a single-player RPG legendary. If you have bought this game, you don't need to buy anything until the next Larian game comes out. From the intertwined storylines enabling alternate story moments and a large degree of player freedom to the characters, particularly companions, that feel interesting and memorable. And when was the last time we saw this level of production quality in a CRPG? The voice acting, character, and facial animations and detailed environments? Forget CRPGs, we don't see this level of production quality in AAA action games now. FPS games, any of the popular mainstream genres that make a lot of money. We don't see it anymore. They implemented Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule sets so smoothly that you don't even need to know D&D to enjoy the game. And the fans responded well. Baldur's Gate 3 became the best-selling game on both Steam and GOG.com on the day of its early access launch. On Steam, the game had about 537,000 concurrent players on release day, and peaked at 875,000 2 weeks after release. Baldur's Gate 3 sold more than 2.5 million copies during its early access phase. Sales surpassed Larian's expectations as well as those of Microsoft when considering the Xbox release. Even they did not expect it. While it's a world-famous IP, it is still a very niche genre. By February 26th, 2024, the game had sold upwards of 10 million copies, according to the director of publishing at Larian. You don't need me to tell you. These are not normal numbers. for an RPG title as well, in a time when single-player games were assumed to be over and done with. Baldur's Gate 3 also became the first game to win every major Game of the Year award. Now it looks normal, but it was a surreal experience. From the moment it was announced, its early access to its full release, that timeline felt fantastical, buddy. Like the game itself. Divinity Original Sin 1, 2, and Baldur's Gate 3 will be played for years to come. Decades, more than likely. They will always be remembered as titles that saved single-player RPG gaming, as games that saved the RPG genre by showing everyone what a true RPG plays like. If Divinity Original Sin games were the intro to Stairway to Heaven, Baldur's Gate 3 was the flute that made the song immortal. One completes the other. If it wasn't for the Original Sin 2, we would not have got Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly in the true sense. Sequels never turn out well. Well, usually. In a time when single-player games are looked down upon by the powers that be, it showed everyone the power of single-player games with its achievements. There's a group of high school kids out there who discovered D&D for the first time because of because of this game. There's a college kid out there who wants to write good stories after this game taught them what good writing can do to human emotions. The most important, from a video game perspective. There's a new team of developers out there who wants to develop good single-player games after they played this game. It's defined a genre. It saved the genre and truly became a once-in-a-lifetime gaming experience that no one does better than Larian. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button as it helps me a very great deal. Do let me know your thoughts, share any facts I may have missed. In the meantime, I'll be over with my favorite drink writing the next script for you. See you soon, partner.